The Rocking Al Show.
Right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from Sales Pop, online sales magazine, and Pipeliner CRM, joining you from San Diego. And today I am joined by Alex Goldfayn, who is in Chicago. How are you doing, Alex?
Hello, how are you, John?
Great. And Alex is the author of the book, Selling Boldly, but he's got this great new book that's actually coming out next week called 5-Minute Selling. And that sounds fantastic. The proven simple system that can double your sales even when you don't have time. And let's face it, Alex, people are always saying that they don't have time, and that's the reason why they can't achieve all the great things that they have to achieve. So you've got it down to a 5-minute selling system. So tell me about the genesis of this first.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Nobody's sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. If salespeople are in this career, they have lots of customers, and they're always calling us. And they're never calling when things are good and easy. They never say, "Hey, John, great job, man. That was awesome. Can I pay you more?" They don't call with that. They call when something's wrong. And so we spend our days reacting to what's incoming from our customers. Either it's wrong or it's urgent, or they need it yesterday, right? Or you didn't get them enough, or where is it? Or why not? So they put up a hoop and they say, jump, and we jump. Well, 90 to 95% of salespeople sell this way, right? Mm-hmm. Which is reactively, which means if we can be proactive and call our customers and prospects and be present when nothing is wrong. That's the key phrase, right? When nothing is wrong. 4 words. I have to count them. Because just as customers only call us when something's wrong, when do they hear from salespeople? Usually when there's a problem of some kind to report, right? I don't have enough. The price is going up. I can't be there when I said I would. It can't be there when I said it would. And when we call them and say, "John, it's Alex. How are you, man? I was thinking about you. How's your family? How did the summer go? What's going on with school, which is starting?" Now, after you catch up like a human, you turn the conversation to business. What are you working on these days that I might be able to help you with? So it's not just a, how are you call. It's a catch up human phone call, and then we pivot to business. And these conversations take a few minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, because sometimes people will, they'll do these initiatives and they'll say, okay, let's call all of our customers. And people will literally call up and say, "Alex, how's everything going?" Maybe they'll do the personal small talk, and then they'll say, "How's everything going with my product?" And you'll go, "Yeah, it's fine." And then I'll go,
good.
"Okay,
yeah,
I'm good." And then I'll go, "Okay, well, just wanted to say hi," and end of conversation, right?
Right. Yeah. And then, so we need to intentionally pivot to the business. And so what I found in my work with clients, and, I've done this process in the system, which is in the book, with probably more than 10,000 salespeople. And so we know this works. And what you find is 5 minutes is enough, right? 5 minutes per day of combined total proactive communication, which can be those phone calls we talked about, but they could also be a follow-up on a quote or a proposal. They can be a "did you know" question, which is, "Hey, did you know I can also help you with this or that?" They can be a reverse "did you know" question, which is, "Hey, what else do you need, John, that I can help you with?" Where the customer names the product to us instead of us having to name it to them. This is a great technique where you could say, "Listen, what are you buying from my competition that I can help you with? I'd like to help you with that. We're talking now. What do you need to remember to call them for? You got me now. Let me help you with that." And they'll tell you, when we're present in this way, nobody will ever say to us, "No, I'd rather you not make my life easier today." Nobody will ever say that to us. And people want to be helped, And as we sit here now, it's an interesting time. People are more available than ever. You know,
Well,
we're
yeah,
all sitting at our
absolutely.
desks, right? We're all sitting with our phone, and everybody's doing the same thing. John, before we started recording, you said, Alex, where are you these days? And I said, I'm in
Mhm.
Chicago these days and every day, right? I don't
Yeah.
leave, right, where I am. And nobody's leaving where they are, mostly. So they're more reachable than ever. And yet they're sitting in relative silence. Nobody's calling them. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
if we reach them and if we go to them and say, hey, I'm Alex, I'm John, I'm interested, I care about you, let me help you.
Yeah.
They're going to reward that because they don't have anybody doing that for them.
No, absolutely, and that's why I think it's incredibly important that that people think about the way that they communicate, because as I said, you can have the opportunity to talk to somebody, but you can blow it by really not being prepared, by not having something to offer, by not being enthusiastic enough or sounding genuine enough to sound like you're just doing it because you think it's a good thing to do. I mean, everybody can pick up on that, right?
Yeah, totally. And, you know, I'm not suggesting that your viewers and our viewers and our listeners and
Mm-hmm.
readers and everybody, I'm not suggesting that salespeople need to care more. I think we care more than
Mm-hmm.
enough. What I am suggesting is we need to communicate that care
Yeah.
a little bit more, you know, because if you care in silence, nobody knows, right? It's like a tree falling in the forest. Nobody knows it fell. Nobody knows you care if you don't tell me that you care. And so that's all this is. It's a system in 5 minutes a day. And in the book, I have planners and trackers, John, right? So I've got a place to go and write down who to call for the week. And then I've got a different form where you can track what happened. And these are important parts of the system because they help you think through being proactive, and then they help you record proof of being proactive.
Yeah, and as you say in it, you say you don't want people to read the book here. I want you to do this book.
Yeah, I don't want you to read the book. I want you to do the book. And you know, here these just arrived like 3 days ago, so you're one of the first people to see them. You know, the moment when your book goes from being on the screen and in your head to actually like in your hands, it's a really cool moment. So that happened here Friday. But you know, the back of the book says this book is a sales growth system. And so the book is a system. I don't want you to read all the way through and not do anything. I want you to read a chapter or two and then go do something, right? Plan who to call, make the call. Plan which products you're going to tell your customer about, which you can help them with, and then do those things. Then I want you to write it down and track it, because the tracking becomes, number one, a gold mine to follow up on. Number two, the tracking becomes proof of your own success, because the wins come quickly. I have a chapter in it. I don't know if I can find it. There's a chapter that says the wins come quickly in this work. So that's,
and who doesn't like that? But one, yes,
I don't want you to do this book. I want you to read.
Yeah, I love that.
I mean, I don't want you to read this book. I want you to do this book.
Yeah, I also saw that you mentioned there's a key mindset to fuel your sales growth, and I think that's where a lot of things start, is in the mindset, because you can get a book like yours, you can get the plan, but if you don't have them, if you don't get your mindset right, you're going to go into it almost with the self-fulfilling prophecy that it's not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely, because we can't outsell our mindset, right? I mean, our behavior follows our thinking. And if you feel that you're bothering the customer and that you're stepping on their toes and that you're annoying them, how are you going to sell? You're going to sell meekly, you know, sort of trepidatiously, fearfully, tiptoey. If conversely you believe you have tremendous value for your customers, right, which you do, right, and I believe that about you, and John believes that about you.
Yep.
And your customers, most importantly, believe that about you. So now you've got to believe that about you, and then behave accordingly. Those are the two keys. Know how good you are. Everybody else does. And then behave as though you're good. Behave as though you have tremendous value to your customers. And if your mindset is that way, John, you're going to sell completely differently. You're going to sell confidently, positively, optimistically, and boldly, which is what this growth requires.
Yeah, and to that point is all of this communicates itself. So if I'm not confident, if I think I'm annoying you, whatever, that is how I will communicate. And with the best will in the world, there's nothing I can do to disguise that. So you have to authentically believe these things.
You're absolutely right. You know, I do projects with customer-facing teams. So my work in the world, you know, you don't write books to make money, right? You write
Sure.
books to, you know, help a lot of people and credibility and all those things. And I do these projects with teams, and almost always the owner or the top executive that I'm working with says to me, you know, we've tried a lot of these things before, but nothing has stuck. Nothing sticks, right? You probably hear that a lot. And my answer almost always is that corporate change is really, really hard. And the reason it doesn't stick almost always is that most people don't cover the mindset, which is the key. We try to jam through the behaviors, right? We try to jam through, do this, make 50 calls a day, but we never address the fear, the discomfort, right? And all the issues that keep us from making those calls. And I think that's the key. We have to, I'd say in my work, John, it's probably 70% mindset work and 30% behavior work, because everybody knows what to do. You know, everybody knows the phone is better than email, and yet, right, we email. So it's not a question of they don't know. Everybody knows. All of our listeners know everything we're talking about right now. It's just a matter of doing what we know. Knowing doesn't make us any money. The doing is what makes the money.
Yeah, and it is funny how you will hear still a lot of people sort of go, "Oh yeah, well, the phone doesn't really work. I never get people. I just get voicemails. Nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants to talk to me." All of that, and it's almost to your point. It's if you don't fix that mindset, you're talking yourself out of it immediately, and you're giving yourself a get-out clause. And what happens? First few calls you'll make, yeah, you're going to get voicemails. You go, yeah, there, see, told you so.
And you experience the voicemail as a loss, you know. So I failed. I got their voicemail. Here's another failure. Well, no, they get to hear your voice, right? They get to hear your name. They get to hear that you care. They get to hear your energy. It's not a failure. It's a win. Yeah, and that's
think of that. Yeah, and think of that, of all the voicemails you get every day, what are the ones that you remember? It is the ones that have energy, have enthusiasm, sound intriguing, and make you think, wow, well, that person sounds like they've got something interesting to say, so maybe I will actually call them back. But I'm not going to call back the one who sounds like they would rather be doing anything else than even leaving a message.
Totally. Yeah, because that's you know, 90 to 95% are that way. So I think the point is it's really easy to stand out, you know, in this crowd, right? 90 to 95 are how you just described. 90 to 95% are reactive and timid and fearful. So it's really easy to do better than that and be one of the best. I say to my clients, if you can get good at the phone now, if you can figure out how to make calls and use them for sales success now, you're going to put so much distance between you and the competition that they will never be able to catch up. That's how much distance you will put.
Yeah, no, it's so true. But there's another one I noticed here where you said it will never feel perfect, so just take action. Because there's another great get out of jail card, isn't it? The perfectionist one. It's like, well, the system isn't set up perfectly yet, or I haven't crafted the right message just yet. And so everything. And the great thing about perfection is it's unachievable, so you never have to take action.
That's right. You'll never feel like it's perfect, right? You just said it. You'll never feel like it's perfect. And so just go, just take action. You know, I had a business mentor that told me years ago, maybe 20 years, 15, 20 years ago, he said to me, when it's 80% ready, move. Yeah. That's when you go. Why? Because the last 20%, it's dysfunctional. Only you know it's missing, right? Meaning, and let me give you the example, John. If I make a mistake here now, right, in our conversation, who knows that I made a mistake? Nobody. Pretty much only I know. You know, so like I misread the thing in the book, and that one was obvious. But if I forget to say something, if I, you know, say something not exactly the way I want it to, only I know that. So I don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I think that's the point is that we spend too much time worrying about, and I agree with that 80-20 rule is number one, it's normally the 20% that actually doesn't have that much value, and the part that the customer is never going to notice anyway, or the other person is never going to notice, and it's only you fixating on it. And again, you're only fixating on it because it's allowing you to be inactive.
Not all the way ready yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and by the way, you know, procrastination due to fear. really is what we're talking about here. That's what perfection is in the sales world, right? So procrastination and perfection really, we use it as a crutch to procrastinate, and keeps us off the phones, as you said. And so perfection is the thing that makes, one of the big things that keeps us off the phones.
Yeah. And then, I mean, as I look through some of the actions that you've outlined in your book, I mean, a lot of these things are you're not talking about big complex things here. You're talking about very simple executable tasks that you can do, one after the other, and track them very easily and make them kind of repetitive in a good way. So what you're proposing in your book, you're not asking people to really undertake anything massively outside their comfort zone.
No, and I'm only asking for 5 minutes, and so the system is the key here. The system is the key to any sort of predictable, repeatable sales growth. And the great thing about 5-minute selling is it creates completely predictable growth, because what happens is you communicate proactively a lot more all the time, but only in 5 minutes a day. That's enough, So, I talk about the system being the key. Actions on their own, when you happen to think about it once in a while, right? When I happen to get there, they're fleeting. They're like a snowflake falling to the pavement and it melts, it goes away. But in system, what you get is so much repetitive outbound communication that it becomes a blizzard. So for example, we know that 20% of did you know questions close, right? We know that statistically, which means if I ask you about 5 different things, did you know that I could also help you with your sales team's behavior? But did you also know that I can do coaching with your sales managers? But did you also know that my team can go and get testimonials from your happy customers so that we work on the mindset of your sales team? So if I do 5 of those, we know statistically 1 is going to turn into a piece of business over time, right? 20% close. So if I do 50, 10 will turn into business. But if I do 5,000 of those in a year, 1,000 will turn into a piece of business. And it's even more this way if you sell products. So let's say there's 10 salespeople, 10 people that face customers, and they ask 5 did you know questions a day. That's 50 a day. And each did you know takes 3 seconds. Right? So 5 did you knows means 15 seconds a day. That's how we get to 5 minutes, because you can do a lot in 5 minutes. So 10 salespeople asking 5 did you knows, 50 a day, 250 a month, 250 a week, 1,000 a month, 12,000 a year. We know that 20% close, right? 20% of 12,000 is 2,400 new line items. So then you just figure out the average value, the average cost of your new line item. If you don't like 2,400, ask for 10 did you knows instead of 5. Now we're asking for 30 seconds instead of 15. Do you see how much additional selling you can do in 5 minutes a day? Not 5 minutes when you happen to think about it, but 5 minutes by everybody, every day, over time. And again, instead of a snowflake that melts, you get a blizzard.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all about being systematic in the approach. Yeah, because, I mean, it's like, if you go to the gym randomly, well, you probably can't go to the gym right now, but if you work out randomly, you'll get random results, right? If you work out consistently, you'll get consistent results, and it's the same thing. And one other thing that yeah, exactly. And the one other thing that kind of jumped out at me here as we finish up is asking for referrals. I don't know why this is just such a, it just drives me nuts, this one, because it's like people, whenever you say, have you asked for referral? Oh yeah, I did. I asked. Did you get any? No. And it's like a one and done thing. Yeah, well, Alex, I'm going to say, do you know anybody else who could use my product or service? And you're like, no, not off the top of my head. Okay, well, I asked.
It's fascinating because so many times we salespeople confuse thinking about something a lot with actually doing it, So some of those, many salespeople don't even get to the question that you just demonstrated, and we think about it every day, but the fear keeps us from doing it because we're so uncomfortable asking, because what if they don't like me? And what if, what if they leave me as a customer because they're going to get so upset at me by me asking for a referral to feed my family, that they're going to leave me, even though I've nurtured them for 20 years. And when they leave me, when I ask them for a referral, that I'm going to die and my family will starve, right? I'm planning to speak to my family down there. So yeah, and the question is just how you said it, John. Who do you know, like yourself, who I can help the way that I help you?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I am going to be quiet, John, and I'm going to shut up, and I'm not going to say a word until you give me a referral. So much business and so many referrals are lost to nervous chatter because we're not quiet after we ask a question.
I love that you brought that up actually just before you go, because that is another thing. I think we live in this culture that fears silence. It's like if we're having a dialogue and I'm a salesperson, I'm trying to sell to you, silence is my enemy. I have to fill that silence. If you said, and it's crazy because if I ask you a question like that and then you go quiet for a moment, clearly you're reflecting on it.
I'm thinking.
But instead I go, silence. So then I butt in, completely knock you off your train of thought, and the moment is lost. And it's getting worse. It's getting worse because people doing it virtually and on Zoom, they're actually even more paranoid about silences now.
And it's based on, this comes from what you said, which is fear, right? Mm-hmm. Fear is the reason we're so uncomfortable with the customer thinking about the referral. Look, you've been thinking about asking for the referral for 2 weeks. They haven't been thinking about your referral for 2 weeks. Let them think, And then there's a different kind of silence. There's 2 kinds of silences I write about in this book. The first kind of silence is what we're talking about. Ask a question and then let the customer think. Yeah. John, sometimes I'll count to 100 in my head. I don't care, but I won't be the first one to talk after I ask a question like that. The other kind of silence is in the midst of the conversation where you finish your sentence and I don't jump in right away until I give it like a 2B, the 1001, 1002, then I go. And in those pauses, I'm giving you time to think about other things to share with me that I don't even know to ask you about. You're going to bring stuff up that I couldn't possibly even ask about because I didn't know that was a thing until you told me about it. So that happens all the time in these conversations. So give people a beat or two after their answer kind of lingers off or trails off. And then on about, 20 or 30% of them, like up to a third of the time, they're going to think of something else and jump in with it.
Exactly. Oh, and also, yes, exactly. Well, this has been fantastic, Alex Goldfayn. The book is 5 Minute Selling, the proven simple system that can double your sales even when you don't have time. And it launches next week, and you can see it there behind Alex, and he's got his brand new copy in his hand as well. Yellow, you can't miss it. Big yellow book. All of Alex's information plus the link to the book will be in his contributor bio. But before we go, Alex, please tell people a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Sure. So I run a revenue growth consulting company. So I grow the sales of the companies that I work with. I tend to work with distributors and manufacturers of pretty boring stuff. So things like lumber and steel and pipes and valves and HVAC, but it makes the world go around. I also have a number of service companies. I have engineering companies and law firms. And my typical client adds 10 to 20% annually every year by doing the kinds of things we're talking about, by implementing the mindset systems and then the behavior systems, but not the technology systems, right? The thinking and the behavior systems to really just try to help more people some more. And I don't even call it selling when I'm in front of these groups. All we're doing is helping more people some more. So that's the work. All of that is on my website, which is my last name, goldfayn.com. And when you go there next week, because we're not putting the book there now because I don't want people to buy the book yet. It's not for sale. It's not available yet. It comes out next Tuesday, the 25th, as you said. So there's going to be this is the cover of the book. So you'll see the book on the site. And then when you click on it, you'll be able to download the planners and the trackers that are in the book for free. So there's no cost. And even if you don't buy the book, you can download the planners and the trackers and use them. So those are going to be on my website, goldfayn.com.
Thank you. And that's fantastic. And that's very valuable for people. I really encourage you to go and check it out. My name is John Golden, Sales Pop Online, Sales Magazine, Pipeline of CRM. See you all for another expert interview really soon. And thanks again, Alex, for today.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you having me on. I'm grateful.